Before I actually start the content of this video, I just wanted to say a huge thank you to each and every one of my subscribers. Coco's Kingdom reached 1,000 subscribers. I know it's a small milestone, but it's like super exciting for me because I didn't think my channel would take any traction at all. So thank you guys very much for watching. And now back to the original video. Hey everyone, welcome back to Coco's Kingdom. In today's video, I'm going to be covering the DIY rock insert that I made for my leopard geckos. So the overall process took me almost a week, maybe even 2, but the second one I made, I actually did back to back, and I think I finished it within 3 days just because you had to wait for things to dry and I had to draw it out and plan and cut and all of that. So first, I'm just going to list all of the materials that you'll need, and then I'll go one by one through them and show you what they actually are. So I got a list of 7 things total, which include foam sheets, a hot glue gun with glue, sanded grout, a paintbrush, sealant, plastic plants, and a cutting blade. So the foam sheets that I use, I got from Home Depot, and it comes in a big pack like this, which you can't see the whole thing, but the whole thing is only $9. I made 2 inserts out of this, and you can obviously make way more. It comes with 6 sheets, and I already used, maybe it comes with 7, but here it is. It's in the insulation area, and this is the one that you're gonna wanna look for. There you go, it comes with 6. So I actually only used 1.5 for both of them. So the hot glue gun and glue you're just going to use to keep the pieces together, as well as insert the plants that you choose. Sanded grout. Here is the bag that I chose. It just looks like this. I got this one from Home Depot too. And I don't know if you can use unsanded, but I used this one just for texture because I wanted it to look a little more natural. And also, I don't know where on the bag it is. They come in different colors, and you can use a color that either you just like or whatever goes with the scheme that you want to make. If I can even find it. Oh my god. Okay, it's at the bottom. It came in this color. In earth. There's a lot of colors that you can choose from though. So the paintbrush you're going to use to apply the grout onto the foam, as well as the sealant onto the grout when it's dry. I used the same one, I just decided to wash the brush so I didn't have to use as many. You can get multiple brushes if you want to, I just thought it was easier for me. And this is the sealant that I used. I watched some videos and did some other research, and apparently this is just the best brand that doesn't have too many chemicals and works the best too. So I got the exterior one, and it is water-based. It's supposed to have less VOCs, or the least amount, so it's not as bad for your animals. I think they also have different finishes. I went with the crystal clear satin. And then the plants that I used, I actually don't have any with me that I can show you right now. I got these ones from Michael's, and they were about only $5 per branch versus buying them at a pet store for way more. It's the same thing, and I think there was actually more variety when I went to the store. Also, you could use the 40% off coupon, which I did for both, so it's actually way cheaper than if you were to buy it at a pet store. And then the last thing you need was just like a little cutting tool. I used a little box cutter. It's just so you could carve the foam in the way you want. So using a longer blade does help because you have to cut all the way through the foam. So I wouldn't recommend like any short blade where you can't actually cut through the actual like entire inch of the foam. So what I did first is that I actually planned it out. I measured my terrarium and Drew rocks where I thought I'd want. Don't forget to include all the hides you need, which is a minimum of 3, I believe, a hot hide, a cool hide, and a humid hide as well. So I just incorporated that into my design and I drew it out and put everything where I wanted it to be. Keep in mind that you should leave a little room for error because when you're drawing it out on paper, it's not to the exact scale that's going to be in your terrarium. So when I drew it out, it actually looked a lot more spaced out, but when I completed it, it was actually a little more closed in, which I didn't mind. It still looked great. So just keep in mind that when you do draw it, it's not going to be to the exact scale, so just leave some room for error. Starting with the foam, I just started carving small pieces and just kind of went from there. I used my blade to shape the pieces into how I wanted it to be. I carved it a little more round on the edges of the cliff just because that's what I wanted. With Honey's insert, I went for a desert theme, so I did stacked rocks. And he likes to climb, so I gave him a lot of places that he can go up and down, and there's a few places for him to hide and lay down as well. The more you work with the foam, the more you get kind of how it goes, and it gets easier along the way. Keep in mind that when you do apply the grout, it's a thicker layer, so it does remove some of the detail. So think of it kind of like a strawberry. You know how strawberries have all the seeds and indents, but when you dip it into chocolate, it's a smooth layer. So when all your foam is complete is when you want to start to put the grout on it. A tip that was easier for me that I had to learn as I went is start off with a lot more watery grout just so you can coat the entire foam. You could drip it over instead of having to brush really hard when it's thick. So once you get like a few layers on, it's a lot easier to glob it on with a thicker grout. For me, the grout is like the longest part because you have to put on coats and wait for it to dry before you apply another one. And I think I did a total of almost 10 coats just because I wanted it to be sturdy. If you're doing the first few coats, you notice that there's still some give and push to the foam, and I just didn't want it to break in the long run. And then when I finished applying all my grout, I let it air out for 24 hours just to be sure that it was completely dry on the bottom layers too. Okay, for me, I don't know why this step was so exciting. It was putting the sealant on. I suppose just because it felt so much closer to being like done with the whole thing. Just coat the entire rock structure with a layer of sealant. I went over it twice. I suppose you could do 3. Any other layer is probably just more protection. But I think if you make it too thick, it might come out a little more murky than clear. So I just stuck with 2 layers. I also let the sealant dry for 24 hours just to be sure that was completely dry as well. And the next step with adding the plants, I think it really just pulled everything together and made it look super cool. So with the plants for Michael's, you can actually just pull off each node. It's not connected, which is easier so you don't have to cut it. So that's what I'm doing here. You just take apart each one and you have all of your plants that you could use. To insert the plant, I just grabbed a screwdriver and made a hole. The screwdriver should be around the same size as the node on the plant so it's easy to push in. I'd put holes where I wanted the plants, and then after that I would just push the plant itself into the hole with the screwdriver. And then you're gonna need your hot glue gun again. What I did is I just put a bead over the hole so it seals it and there's just nothing else exposed, and it also keeps the plants in place. And I think that's the whole process. I did have a ton of fun designing it, and it honestly came out a lot better than I thought it would. The last step would be to just put it into your terrarium for your leopard gecko to use. As a personal review, I feel like the leopard geckos really love the inserts because they can climb and hide. It's just a lot more activity going up and down than just across the terrarium. I know you can't exactly gauge an animal's happiness, but it does seem like they enjoy their habitat way better than what I had set up before. So I followed this tutorial with the insert that I made for Honey, but I also made one for Cookie that I'm just gonna run through right now. I decided to give her more of a jungle theme as well as a tree. She actually even climbs the tree to the top. So that is the entire tutorial of how to build your own DIY rock insert for your leopard geckos. You could even use it for other reptiles. It's not specific towards them. Don't forget to be creative. I'm sure you could even make water features or something even cooler. This is just what I came up with and what I liked. So if you guys enjoyed the video, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Hopefully I'll have a new video up soon. Thank you guys for watching. Bye!